Hello and welcome back to Wrong Mar. In today's maths lesson, we're taking a first look at capacity. Our goal for today is to be able to read and recognise the units of capacity. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been looking at different units of measurement. We've looked at how we measure length, and we've also looked at how we measure weight. Today, we've got one last type of measurement left to look at, and that is capacity. What do you think we are talking about when we say we're measuring the capacity of something? Pause the video and write down an answer. Well, when we talk about capacity, we're talking about how much liquid a container can hold inside of it. Just like this glass of Coke over here that is quite clearly over capacity by the looks of things. Just like length and weight, there are units of measurement that we use for capacity. But what do we measure capacity in? If I wanted to fill up this jug of water, which of these units of measurement would I use to measure the amount of water in it? Pause the video and see if you can figure out which are the two units of capacity. Well, did you get it right? The two units of capacity that we're looking at are milliliters and litres. You've probably heard of these before. When we are measuring capacity, we usually measure it in litres if it's a larger item, or milliliters if it's a smaller item. This will tell us how much liquid the container can hold. And a container can be anything. It could be a watering can, it could be a water bottle, it could even be a teaspoon. If we lived in America, our milk bottles would look like this. That's because they measure capacity in a totally different unit. They measure it in gallons and pints. We don't use those measurements in Ireland anymore, so you really don't have to worry about them. I wonder if you could use everything you know about units of measurement that we've learned over the last few weeks and fill in the missing bits of information on the table down below. Pause the video and fill in the missing bits. Well, did you get all of those correct? So, missing from the second line, centimetres are measurements of length. Kilograms are what we're talking about in the third line. G is the short version of grams. L is the short version of litres. And ml is the short version of milliliters. Did you get all of them? So you probably know what question I'm going to ask next. How many milliliters are there in 1 litre? Think back to our other units of measurement and see if you can figure out how many there might be. Pause the video and write down an answer. Well, there are 1,000 milliliters in 1 litre. You've probably seen a litre before in your life. If you've ever seen one of these cartons of milk, the cardboard cartons, the big ones, they are usually 1 litre of milk. You might even have one in your home right now. Take a look at this bottle of Coke. It holds half a litre. How many milliliters would half a litre be? Remember, there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 full litre. Pause the video and see if you can figure out how many milliliters there is in half a litre. Well, if there is 1,000 milliliters in a litre, then there is 500 milliliters in half of a litre. Most of the small bottles of minerals that you would buy in a shop can hold 500 milliliters of liquid. Have a look next time you're in the shop, see if you can find the measurement on the side of the bottle. Take a look at this bottle of Tropicana. If you've ever seen one of these before, you know that they're quite small. It holds 1/4 of a litre. How many milliliters would that be? Remember, there are 1,000 millilitres in a litre and 500 millilitres in half a litre. So how many would there be in a quarter of a litre? Pause the video and write down an answer. Well, 1/4 of a litre is 250 millilitres, half of a half. The final container we'll look at is this bottle of Muju. Now, I am a big fan of Muju. I think it's absolutely delicious. There's nothing I like more than a cold glass of Muju. This bottle holds 3/4 of a litre. How many millilitres would that be? Remember, there are 250 millilitres in 1/4 and 1,000 millilitres in 1 litre. So how many millilitres would 3/4 be? Pause the video and write down an answer. Well, 3/4 of a litre is 750 millilitres. Did you get that? If you did, good job, well done. If you didn't, try to learn those little conversion facts off by heart. They'll help you a lot as we go forward. Okay, let's practice a few milliliter-litre questions. I'm going to show you a picture of a container filled with liquid. All I want you to do is to decide whether we would measure the capacity of the container in litres, or would it be better to measure it in millilitres. You ready? Okay, let's jump into our first container. I don't mind literally jumping into this container. We have a lovely hot tub here with a beautiful view, and it's filled with water. What would you measure the capacity of this hot tub in? Litres or millilitres? Pause the video and write down an answer. Well, of course, for a container this big, we would definitely measure it in litres. So give yourself a tick if you got that one right. And let's go on to our second container. Okay, much smaller this time. We have a teaspoon of maple syrup, maybe for some pancakes or something. Would you measure the capacity of this spoon in litres or in millilitres? Pause the video and write down your answer. Well, of course, this container is quite small, so we would use a small unit of measurement. We would use millilitres for this one. Let's go on to our next container. Okay, so here we have a man filling up the petrol tank on his car. Would we measure the capacity of the petrol tank in litres or in millilitres? Pause the video and write down which unit you think would be best. Well, the answer is definitely litres, and you even see this at the petrol station pump. You should have a look out next time you're there. You can see it counts up how many litres have gone into the tank. That's how they figure out how much you have to pay. You'll see the big sign out the front of the petrol station saying how much it costs per litre. Okay, next one. So we have Granny Mar is filling up the kettle to put it on for a cup of tea. Would we measure the capacity of the kettle in litres or in millilitres? Pause the video and write down your answer. Well, this is a bit of a trick question, to be honest, because if you look at the side of your kettle, it probably has both millilitres and litres measured on the side. I know my kettle here certainly does. It goes up in litres, but it also has marks for millilitres. So we'll go for both. And let's go to our final container, the very last one. Oh, save the best till last. Have a look at this cup of coffee, filled with delicious, warm happiness. What would we measure the capacity of this coffee cup in? Do you think it would be litres or millilitres? Pause the video and write down an answer. Well, we would definitely measure this in millilitres. I would not recommend anybody to drink litres and litres of coffee. Would not be good for your heart, I don't think. How did you get on with those units of measurement questions? Did you get them all right? Let me leave you with one challenge question. This is going to get big. Here is an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Believe it or not, this pool can hold 2 million litres of water. That is a huge amount of water. And here we have Lough Neagh in Northern Ireland. It's the biggest lake on the island. Here's my challenge question for you. How many Olympic-sized swimming pools do you think we would need to fill up Lough Neagh with water? You can let me know what you think, and I'll give a prize to anybody who can manage to get the estimate exactly right. So our wall for today's lesson was to read and recognise the units of capacity, litres and millilitres. When you're ready, you can try the practice activities down below. That's all we have time for today. Until next time, take care.